My name is Obari Salisbury. Once again, we're broadcasting to you literally from the heart of the CHAZ. I guess you would say that we're embedded over here now. But, I mean, the best thing we could say is that we were over here doing the morning show. We've seen the evolution from the Western Barricade to the CHAZ and now what they're calling the CHOP. You know what I'm saying? And it's been an interesting, very interesting evolution and fast-moving evolution as we've seen it as well. And as the CHOP still tries to define itself as to who it is and kind of what it wants, where our coverage here continues. This morning, though, who we have, we're going to jump right into it. We're on a tight timeline today because he has a press conference to get to. But we have Wyking Garrett. He's the president and CEO of the Africatown Community Land Trust. You might be like, man, why is Wyking right here this morning? Why is he on the show this morning? It's a big one. He's been on the show since the show started, to be honest with you. Episode number 1 of the morning show. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. From way back. But we got him here today because you know what? One of the very first demand since the protest area was the demand that was granted here to Africatown Community Land Trust, and that was the movement or the transfer of Fire Station 6, which is on 23rd and Yesler, over to Africatown. Wyking, welcome.
Man, peace world. What's good, man? Thank you for having us back here, you know. Tapping in, not
street,
tapping out
on
right
the,
here.
On the street level, bro.
Yes, on the street level.
You know what I'm saying?
The Wamish land, you know. Then they named it Capitol Hill. Now they named it CHOP, you know. Yeah. But remember, you know.
Evolution, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
So why don't you tell us, man? The mayor came out on Friday. She used her Twitter machine. You know what I'm saying? And said that, hey, they're going to move Fire Station 6, which was supposed to be moved 3 years ago. Supposed to be transferred almost 4 years ago to Africatown Community Land Trust. And she decided on Friday to go ahead and move it. Well, what are some of your thoughts when you first about hearing that? 2, how solid is that right now and where it's at? And 3, what can people expect Africatown to put inside of Fire Station 6?
Yes, thank you. Great questions. One, we were surprised. You know, I learned about it by getting, you know, screenshots of Twitter messages, right? And so, but, you know, encouraged that the mayor is grasping that it's going to take bold, unprecedented investments, right, and actions to directly disrupt the current state of inequity, of Jim Crow apartheid that has persisted in Chief Seattle City, in the only county, I think, named after Martin Luther King Jr. In the country, right? And so the previous trajectory has to be redirected, course corrected, because we're basically still in the reality of separate but unequal, and Seattle's been, you know, ethnically cleansed, economically, people are being pushed out from the central district to the south end. Even right here on Capitol Hill, a lot of people that, you know, call this home of their culture have been pushed out and displaced. And the only way to redirect that and, you know, have this be a world-class city, it has to be inclusive and reflective of the communities of the world that have made this city. And so I think that was a step in the direction. But again, we don't yet have keys, title, or a specific timeline for those things so that we can get this project, which has been, which was part of the City of Seattle Equitable Development Initiative plan back in 2016. So it's really been the city and the mayor's office that have really been keeping the barriers, bureaucratic barriers. And so we're glad to see those come down. And we hope that there are no more delays in getting that online, because our businesses have been devastated by COVID. And we have to have spaces dedicated to getting them online, optimized, and getting our community's genius being tapped into, the entrepreneurial spirit being curated so that we can participate in the economy that is growing and thriving around us.
Right. And so do you feel like the fire station was supposed to move over to Africatown years ago, but even before this mayor was in? Right. Do you feel that it's the pressure from the protests that are ongoing, the national tone, what's happening here, the former Western Barricade and now CHOP, the We Just Want to Live, the Take Your Knees Off Our Necks rallies, all these things? Do you feel that it's put pressure down there on City Hall? and the mayor is now taking action on these things?
Well, I definitely think that it have put pressure and put a spotlight on the failure of, the previous administrative and previous, in the existing status quo leadership, that they have failed, to act in ways that they could have acted before. And now, they're playing catch up. We shouldn't have to work that hard to do something that's so simple. And so now, we're not even at zero, let alone get into equity. We're just striving to get out of the negative, right? We're saying, can we live? But when we're alive, we don't want to be broke. We don't want to be homeless. We don't want to be, always vulnerable to being negatively impacted the most, which is what COVID showed and what this situation is actually highlighting. So I say yes, the pressure right here on Capitol Hill, all over this country and all over this world of people, particularly younger people, saying we're tired of the status quo and we demand change right now, not some other day, right now, and we're not going anywhere, and we're going to keep our energy, our physical presence, our voices lifted up to make sure that change happens. So, yes. Right.
So also what happened on Friday, of course, the mayor mentioned the transfer of Fire Station 6. And like I said, it's newsworthy over here in the protest zone because that's the first demand. You know what I'm saying? And like I wanted to point out, it's an old demand. It's been out there for years, but that's the first demand since this protest era that's kind of been granted by City Hall. Now, the mayor said something else. She said that she's ready to put up the taxpayers' dollars, of course. She's ready to put up $100 million a year for the next 10 years, equals $1 billion into investment of different communities, marginalized communities in Seattle. What do you think of that announcement? Do you think that it's actually going to materialize? And, if it does, how should that money actually flow into communities?
Yeah, our work have been calling for that type of investment in the black community, specifically in the Central District, just to balance out the predatory development that's displacing people out, that there needs to be, a $1 billion fund dedicated towards that. And that King County Equity Now coalition has lifted that up. The mayor has responded, but then she added other things, communities of color, marginalized communities. When I walk around Capitol Hill, when I was in Chinatown ID yesterday, I see all communities right now uniting to say Black Lives Matter. Make the necessary investments to repair some of the damages that have been done to the black community. And we also support our indigenous community, but this is one of the ways that they strive to, dilute also some of the things is that you start with Black lives and George Floyd being murdered and Breonna Taylor being murdered and Charlena Taylor being murdered and so on and so forth. But then we're talking about all marginalized people. Someone could just move here tomorrow and they're marginalized, right? But we have been here since before this state was a state, before this country was a country, and black people's labor along with the capital of the stolen indigenous people's land is what built the wealth of this country. And then we've been denied access to that capital for the 450 years. So I think we need to stay focused, one. And so that's going to be important. Keep the pressure on and keep the mayor and other people focused on addressing the issue at hand. And that is the injustice and inequities that's been implemented on black people that's resulting in death. Because we know that over-policing, police violence, police terrorism goes hand in hand with gentrification, predatory development. When you talk about stop and frisk, broken windows policies and things like that, that specifically targets black people. Weed and Seed, which started right in Seattle, right, which, targeted any group of black people and said, oh, you're loitering, no loitering laws, right? This is all specific targeted at removing our population, right? And so what we're saying is we have to disrupt the gentrification, ethnic cleansing of Seattle, and black people basically being on this trail of tears, the same one that they put the indigenous people on previously towards genocide.
Right. So I want to take a step back here because there's a lot of new viewers right here, and there's a lot of new people who are wanting to help specific causes. Might not really know what Africatown, as far as accomplishments. I know if you talk about what does Africatown do, we don't have enough time because there's a lot of stuff you guys do. Yeah. But why don't you hit on the tangible? Because right now, I think that when you're talking about someone transferring a fire station to an organization, when you're talking about tens of millions of dollars, people need to know if there's a credible deliverable history and track record with the organization. You can speak about that for a few minutes.
Yeah, overall, Africatown is an asset-based community development initiative focused on allowing the brilliance, the beauty, and the best of the black experience, regardless of time or place, to continue to grow and thrive in the Central District, in Seattle, in the places and communities that we've called home for almost 140 years. The Africatown Community Land Trust is specifically focused, is a part of that that's specifically focused on acquiring and developing land to build the spaces and maintain the spaces for this activity to happen, for us to be safe, to have some sanctuary, to be able to grow and thrive. It takes space. Anything that exists needs space, needs habitat to actually grow. And they have their knees, they've had their knee on our necks, in our communities. That's what predatory development and gentrification is. We can't breathe, right? So Africatown Community Land Trust has been at the vanguard of place-based anti-displacement work, such as the one project, the first project that represents some of our values is the Liberty Bank building on 24th and Union. We're now working on the Africatown Plaza on 23rd and Union. We're supporting the community passageways and creative justice in the South End to build a youth achievement center. And what we're saying is that this development in our community should be led by our community. Again, you know, when we talk about equity, how much commercial space and industrial space do black people own here? Right? It's next to none. And that's what the foundation of the economy is. How many buildings do black people own downtown? How many buildings do black people own on Capitol Hill? Right? So the little bit of residential land that we've had and we were reserved to urban reservations in the Central District and redlined into, now they want to take that. And we're saying we got to stop that. And so Africatown is focused on that. Community-led development, heritage-rich development. There's nothing wrong with having Chinatown, an international district, and Africatown when we live in a state that's named after just one white man. There's New England, there's New Hampshire, there's New Orleans, all of these things that tie back to some culture's motherland. And we're saying we've been here, we made this country, you know, built the country. Why is there no connection back to our motherland and our cultures? And that's what Africatown is about, advancing in the name of equity.
So what I hear you saying then is that there's a credible track record of major projects and delivering back to the community. You know, I mean, people will tell you, people who listen to my stream, man, I'm real big now, and I've been telling people is that you have to stop outsourcing accountability. As we see now, outsourcing accountability and outsourcing leadership hasn't been working in this city, man. You know, and so accountability is big, and that's why I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about your track record of success there at Africatown, because a city asset is, well, at least the mayor says
underutilized asset.
She said that it's coming, though.
They were parking meter vehicles, and we now are ready to repurpose that as the William Gross Center for Cultural Innovation and Enterprise. Like I said, and it's been the work of the Black Community Impact Alliance in the community, and many others have been working and putting their brain power into like establishing this. This is just one small facility. The next thing is to bring Seattle Vocational Institute into it, so that we can then have a campus that Odessa Brown, which was established to create basic access to health care, a doctor and a nurse, right? And SVI had medical assistant and dental assistant programs, but those jobs won't even allow you to live in Seattle right now. But there's a whole health devices, health information, sciences, data, technology industry that we also need access to. And so the William Grove Center for Cultural Innovation will begin to build out that, be the epicenter and steward for an innovation ecosystem in our community, because we know there's never been a shortage of innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurial spirit in the black community in America.
Right. We got about 3 minutes left here, so we can get you out of here on time. I know you got a press conference this morning. Yeah. What's the next step, or what's your call to action? What do you wanting people to do?
Yeah, go to KingCountyEquityNow.com and get plugged in so that people can get all of the call to action. But we absolutely have to keep the pressure on, right? And we want people to plug in, to bring your ideas, bring your genius. Again, we're looking to activate that space immediately to get, many of our entrepreneurs that have been wiped out with COVID. They can't do their events where they sell their things, and businesses have had to shut down spaces. And so we're looking at innovative shared space models, cooperative economic models that can go in there immediately while we do the long-term capital improvements also to make that into a high-tech, really like the global innovation exchange between Microsoft and the innovation universities out of China that's in Bellevue. So we just want to bring the facilities because we know police in schools is not what makes Lakeside a safe school, right? So why do we have police in Washington Middle School and in Garfield High School, but we don't have VR opportunity, virtual reality opportunities for them, 3D printers for them, places where our young people can podcast and use the digital technology that they're digital natives to and learn how that connects with the economy. And so that's what we're striving to do in that space, and people can get involved with that. Go to KingCountyEquityNow.com, go to AfricatownLandTrust.org, and get connected and bring your brilliance to help co-design and build a new normal rooted in equity.
All right, you heard it right there from the man, Wyking Garrett, President and CEO of the Africatown Community Land Trust. The big news on Friday, it broke after we were off air, is that the mayor, like I said, used her Twitter machine and put it out there to the public that after a almost 4-year wait, the city of Seattle is going to transfer Fire Station 6 over to Africatown. And again, sitting here in the protest zone, that was is a demand that was out there. I don't know if this is going to be the first and the only or the first of many, but clearly a demand that was out there
keep the pressure on. So
was granted.
For them to take the knee, but they got to pay the fee. We got to have reparations, repair rations, get the resources redistributed to make an impact. And we appreciate everybody that stood strong and been putting the call out live from Capitol Hill occupation.
I just call it the chop.
What is it?
It's some of everything. We call it the chop these days.
All right, the chop. All right. I remember we used to do shows at Chop Suey.
Yeah, it's the chop.
The whole neighborhood, right? All right, let's go.
There it is right there, Wyking Garrett. We're going to take a short break right now. We're coming back with the very capable and able and amazing my co-host, Trae on a holiday. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I'm a young black man doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to my kind, every day I'm being hunted as prey. My people don't want no trouble. We've had enough struggle. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I am welcoming myself. As you guys just saw in the first segment there, Omari was able to catch up with Wyking Garrett of Africatown Community Land Trust. And you guys heard it from the man himself. Don't take a knee, pay the fee. It is time to move in to repair rations. And I just love those terms. Omari, you had an eventful weekend, my friend. You guys have been out here on the scene. I was able to catch up with the Converge team online today. I was doing a bunch of stuff on the back end. So good to catch up with you, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, I'm here all day, every day. You know what I'm saying? Kind of feeling like the weather, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? I think some sunshine might bring a little bit more joy over here to this chop zone, as they're calling it now, as the name constantly evolving. They actually got a Twitter. It's a thing. There's a CHAZ Twitter and a Chop Twitter out there.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? There's a press office online. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a constantly evolving situation. I think that's something. We've got another guest today, but tomorrow we'll talk about, though, is that we're seeing some divides here on the ground level. You know what I'm saying? You've got quite a few protesters or people here who've been here. I've seen them since day one. and they're feeling it like, man, the whole message of Black Lives Matter and a black agenda is now being lost. You know, we see that also, and that might be the case. It might not. You know what I'm saying? We saw that there was a lot of discussion last night between some protesters who were like, or it was all about Black Lives Matter. Then you had some other protesters that represented the natives and Native Nation and everything else, and they was feeling some kind of way from their side and everything else. But what I do know is when the barricade was right here, when it was one barricade and these guys were protesting, it was almost like COVID, how everybody in America was like, bend the curve, crush the curve, bend the curve. When this barricade, when the Western barricade fell down, it's almost like America reopening. Florida opens here, Georgia opens there, Kentucky's going to open there. People are going to do it this way. You can go 6 feet, you can go 3 feet. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing right here, you know what I'm saying, in this CHOP, in this newly formed autonomous or, you know, protest zone and everything else. So, you know, there's lots of I guess you say, good things that we're seeing, lots of interesting things that we're seeing. As usual, minding our own business, we got caught up in a few things over here, you know what I'm saying? And we're going to be discussing that more tomorrow, though.
Right on. Well, I think that, as you can see, I mean, you know, there's a lot of flows, right? I think there was many flows of traffic over last week that we saw down here.
Thousands of people out here.
Thousands and thousands. And, you know, I was able to see from the feeds that there was still people out here in the evening hours over the weekend. So you still saw those flows of folks. And, again, we're hoping that the agendas can begin to merge because we don't want any
I'll be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? The night shift is back.
Yeah.
And for people that have been listening to the stream for a while, you know there's the day shift and there's the night shift. And I think that we're seeing some of the night shift here and some of the novelty of this being a place. You know, it's a lots of tourists here. You know what I'm saying? These guys might actually want to charge a visa application fee to be able to raise some tax revenue over here, man, because the tourists keep piling into the zone. You know what I'm saying? It's a novelty. It's a destination. It means a lot of things to a lot of different people. But what we are getting and what we are understanding out here is that, man, there's so many different messages that are out there, and the longer that it sits out there and there's no clear leadership. And so what I'm saying is this, and I want to be clear to everybody, the leader who can sit there and get on the microphone, that's dope, 100%. But that same person needs to be able to walk over here to Cal Anderson Park after the city has turned the lights off and be able to rally on these people on the night shift. So it's all good if you can get on the microphone during the day shift where people who are sympathetic to your cause is. But, you know, man, leadership's not a la carte. It's not the buffet, man. You can't go and pick and choose. You see what I'm saying? And you can't turn it on and turn it off. So, you know, leadership is holistic. And that's not what we say, because people hit me and it's like, nah, man, so-and-so was there. They gave a speech. So-and-so is whatever. But you know what? If you're going to lead something, you got to be here. Speaking of not being here, haven't seen Kashama Sawant. Sawant came in here like the war eagle. She declared victory. She went downtown. She went to City Hall. Ain't nobody seen her out here. And so that's another thing. And it's like, you know, giving speeches and leading people is two different things. And so we're just waiting for leadership to occur.
So I want to hear from you and maybe clarify for the audience. When you're saying leadership, are you saying that somebody needs to be able to basically be down here day and night?
Well, I mean, one is somebody needs to take ownership. Well, first of all, if someone needs to take ownership of this, you see what I'm saying? And if they take ownership of it, that's a commitment. That's why it's called sacrifice. That's why leadership takes sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? There's an old saying that you can't phone it in. So, I mean, I don't think somebody needs to camp out here and be out here or whatever. What I'm saying, though, is the same voice that's respected on the mic right there needs to also be respected down here on the lower level. They don't need to be here all day, every day or whatever, but it's the same thing. You can't be known up here on the hill and not known down there on the valley. And I think that's where the gap is out here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's where it's a lot of miscommunication, because you got people who are on the mic and they're really known, or people who are just really known down here here, but they can't get up on the mic. You see what I'm saying? So there's somehow there has to be a balance that's in there, or a mix or something, because there's a disconnect.
Yeah.
And they're gonna let the band, whatever they're trying to build here, whatever these protesters are doing, it's gonna get away from them. And it's gonna get away from them fast, unless somebody, some organization, somebody somehow is going to take ownership of it. Councilmember Sawant came in here and claimed victory. She ain't been here since, though. You know what I'm saying? When you claim something, that's ownership. So you know what I'm saying? You've taken ownership of it. If you're no longer going to own it, Councilwoman, then relinquish it. You know what I'm saying? If you are going to own it, your organization, you guys are big, your organizers, walk these streets so they can live. You know what I'm saying?
I think
That's
what Omari's pointing out here is a really valid point, because a lot of the personality and energy and vitality of this movement really resides in the people, as you can see. And he's describing a dynamic that you don't really actually witness unless you're here experiencing it. So I think he's right. I think there needs to be someone who can emerge out of this that really understands the issues of the people here on both sides, whether it's the Hill, whether it's at the park. And I think that understanding that there's this divergent dynamic happening on both sides here of what we're calling CHOP or Capitol Hill or CHAZ. I mean, basically, it's good for folks to understand that, and I think that you're hitting the nail on the head.
You know, these are high bars, but I mean, I'm gonna say these names because these are names that people know and they recognize. People, when you talk about a leadership, as Barack Obama was in the White House, but Barack Obama could walk the streets.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Man, people love, even better than Barack Obama in a sense, was Bill Clinton. And I'm not talking in a political sense, Republican or Democrat, but that was Bubba from Hope, Arkansas. You see what I'm saying? Could really go out there and be in the fields, but could also navigate, you know what I'm saying, Washington, D.C. We're talking about 6 city blocks here. We don't necessarily need Barack, and we don't need Bubba. We just need somebody who knows how to talk the talk from the top of this hill right here, just over there to Cal Anderson Park, maybe, and go and, you know what I'm saying, light some candles over here, check in with the medics and everything else. The task isn't that big right now. Right now, it's not that big, but, I mean, just as somebody's been reporting on this story from day one, and I've been saying the same thing from day one, that, you know what I'm saying, we need that connection.
Hey, I think I'm going to throw this out here because I done heard it. So many people down here have told it to me. They see you as a leader, you know, they see you as a mayor of this place. I mean,
I'm gonna tell you,
having your
Def Chef in the building.
Hey, what's up, brother? How are you, baby? Good to see you.
You're the only one who can walk on our live set.
The only one. That's our brother. You know what I mean? But really, a lot of folks are like, hey, Omari's the mayor of CHAZ. Omari's the one.
I mean, but that'll tell you something, though, that if a guy up until 3 days ago with nothing but an iPhone 8, just walking around and listening, if people want to say that, oh, you know, Omari's this and that, guess what? The only thing I've done is listen.
Yeah.
And that'll tell you that there's not enough people with a platform that listen.
Right.
If we're able to attract people and people are like, man, you know what, this guy's cool, it's fair, that's the only thing. It's no bag of magic. It was an outdated iPhone we was using, 4 years old, believe it or not, used to jam up on us and everything. That's why it lose signal and lose everything. But it's the effort to listen, the effort to understand. These aren't hard virtues. These are everyday things. But let me do this because we're up against a hard break. Mm-hmm. I know that we got Chukundi.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We actually got my brother out here. This is why he came out here though. I mean, when it was getting funky, when they was putting the gas, it was my birthday.
Yeah, I
got gassed up on my birthday out here.
That's
my brother
right.
came. He was like, man, where's he at? Where's he at?
He had your back.
So we're gonna take a quick break right now, and when we come back, then Chukundi will be out here, and I know that he's gonna be giving an update on his purview as what's going on, but some of the other things that he's been engaged in the community.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a great day, and I love having these discussions with you.
Yeah,
it's so great because the dynamics have changed a lot, and I'm just grateful that you've been on the ground to report to them. So thank you, guys. I got to get to the press conference myself.
Oh,
so,
you're running on, so I guess this is my interview coming up next.
Yeah.
All right.
So thank you guys so much. This has been a great day today, and thank you, O.
Yep, we're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, we got Chukundi, Salisbury. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
We love you! 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 We can't y'all, we came with a purpose. And we gonna leave with a purpose.
Welcome back to the Morning Update Show. I'm your host, Omari Salisbury. As usual these days, man, we've crawled out of our bunker here in the chop. You know what I'm saying? And made it to the street level, broadcasting live here today. This doesn't happen often, and I hope somebody, if my mama's not watching, I hope somebody calls my mom, because this doesn't happen a lot, especially these days. I got the privilege of interviewing my brother, Chukundi, Salisbury. What's up, Kun? Well, I call him Kun, but you know.
Hey, what's up, Big O?
What's up, man?
It's a privilege to be here. First of all, full disclosure, today is my flex day at work, so I'm off work. For people that know that I work for the city of Seattle, and I'm off today. Officially.
Hey, because you know the hate is real. It's somebody over there using the stitch line, like, hey, I think I saw this guy. So, man, a few things. I know we got a few minutes here, man, but a few things is, one, Mr. Live Director here played a video. We were supposed to, what we do on TV was actually set it up for you. You know what I'm saying, and talk about it and everything else. But describe to us the clip that actually played before we came back from break.
So that was a clip from Saturday. I believe it was the first rallies. You know, basically that Saturday where I led a rally and a march down at in front of the police station, in front of City Hall. That was one of the first rallies of that day. And I just really led the crowd in a chant of we love you, we came in peace, right? Obviously, things broke down from there. But, I feel like it's really important to let people know that, love wins the day, and that we came in peace and we're going to leave in peace. And that's one of the things I've always done as a DJ, and I use them with, when I'm in the crowd. And so I left my message, but I also let people know that we're going to walk down here to Westlake in peace, and they did.
Right, and what you're talking about was that the first weekend rally. And you want to talk about a surreal scene, we got the video of it, but I'll be honest with you, I'm traumatized from watching this video of myself and all of this smoke and everything. Because you had the peaceful rally. I mean, we'll just be very straightforward and frank. The black community had this rally that was going on inside the actual Westlake Park. And right behind it, all hell was breaking loose on Pine, on 5th Avenue and 6th. You had police cars on fire and everything else. But the community came in peace, and they left in peace.
Indeed.
And they left. They passed me. I was over there by McDonald's. They passed me at 5:03 because the mayor had put a curfew of 5 p.m. So by 5 o'clock, the community was out of downtown. And it was a lot of people who had to stay a message on that, because initially they wanted to say that the peaceful protest devolved into chaos. But that's incorrect. The peaceful protest started and ended peacefully, right?
Yeah, that's true. So we had our rally that started at noon, and we ended around 1. And then we asked people to walk on down to Westlake for the Not This Time rally. That was, in conjunction with Africatown and everybody else. And then, that rally ended peacefully, and folks marched on to the station past the burning cars. And, yeah, you're right. That video is so surreal. It's actually on one of my pages where you can see the rally. So I'm on the corner by Macy's, and I'm talking about, what's going on. And I was looking southeast. And so as you look this way, you can see the peaceful rally. They had the young people, community passageways, and Willard was on stage, and that was a great thing. And as you look this way, up Pine, you see the car on fire by Nordstrom's. And, I mean, you can see all of that happening at the same time. So, yeah, it was real interesting.
Right. And so what are some of your observations now? I mean, it's been a few weeks. I think that was May 30th. Today is the 15th. It's been 16 days now of protests since that day, and we've seen a whole time span here where the Western Barricade was here when SPD was here, and then SPD left. The East Precinct is now currently in the hands of the protesters. What are some of your thoughts and observations? Your long time, basically your whole life you lived in Seattle. So what are your thoughts about what's going on here around this protest?
Well, first of all, as a business owner here in that is serviced by the East Precinct, I really wonder how we're going to get a response time. As a community member, right? I am concerned about that. I have some reservations about us not having a precinct. I understand that folks want to, take something and have a win, but personally, I feel like our real win is what we asked for. We didn't ask for this precinct, right? I know that the black community and people that I represent, we didn't ask for the precinct. We asked for the fire station, and we got that, right? And so we also want to know that, if something happens at the fire station and we end up actually needing, the police for whatever reason, we want them to call, and they shouldn't have to come from West Seattle to do that. So, that's kind of my take on the station. We want the pieces of property in the community that we asked for that we can use to serve the community. And, quite frankly, like you said, we've been gentrified out of this particular area. So we want the properties that we asked for.
You know what? Interesting enough, it was actually Sam Smith. It was actually Councilmember Sam Smith, who was the very first black city council member here in Seattle. And a great story about Sam Smith for people that actually knew him, or you could actually hear, in some of the City of Seattle archives. Sam Smith will be talking to somebody, and he'd say, you know what, or someone would come up to him with an idea. He'd be like, you know what, I don't really agree with you, but let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Something is kind of missing right here. But I bring this up because back in those days, the black community could not get police service. The police didn't go to the Central District. The only way that you could get the police to come to the Central District, you had to call an ambulance. You know what I'm saying? And put in a medical emergency. And out of that is kind of how Medic 1 evolved and everything else. So it was like, oddly enough, it was the black community that actually got this precinct, you know what I'm saying, put in over here because it was underserviced. A lot of people, real quick, I know we're on your time, but a lot of people are like, black people, Capitol Hill. But actually, if we just walk 2-3 blocks up right here, you'll see First AME Church, a church that outdates actually the state of Washington. First AME Church was built back when this was Washington, the territory of Washington. And you got to think, 136 years ago, people didn't have cars. There wasn't no Uber. So if you built a church 3 blocks from here, that means that the population around here that supported the church was black people. So, this is how the shifting lines of demographics here in Seattle. I want to shift gears with you a little bit. Right. Is it okay to talk about some of the stuff you do with the Parks Department?
Well, yeah, actually I wanted to say one more thing about the protests and my take on things since, in the last 16 days. While I've certainly been at many protests and rallies, I've been at, a bunch of them. I was at the Children's Rally on Saturday. That was great. But the thing that in my message to people in all of this is that at the end of the day, we need to keep the pressure up around the policies that folks are asking for. Every rally that I've been to, folks are saying, hey, we got a problem with officers getting administrative leave. Why is the officer on administrative leave that killed such and such, right? And it's not necessarily, it has zero to do with this police station. It has something to do with the contract that the union has. And so what I'm asking people to do is really keep the pressure on with city council members and the mayor, and we need to make sure that we address the 2017 police accountability ordinance. We had an ordinance that would give the mayor, and give Chief Best more power to fire officers, right? There was a whole ordinance. And what happened was our leaders, folks in a back room somewhere, the labor relations folks, what they did is they negotiated with the union to water down that ordinance. And so, yes, we want to protest. We want to keep the chop going and all of those things. But the real piece, as we look to defund and all of that, even if you defund the police, the half that are left are still going to be the same police with the same contract. Right, so what we have to do is really look at that, and that's been my take. So I come out and I lead protests. Sometimes I take part in them. Either I'm leading, I'm walking, whatever. But I also have my eye on the ultimate prize of real police reform through legislation.
Right. Well, speaking of reform and legislation, I spoke to Riel Johnson yesterday.
Right.
We had there was a TV crew from ABC News Nightline that embedded with me yesterday, and I saw Riel. And Riel had a very interesting take on defund the police. And, you know, I talk to people who want to defund. Then there's some people who just want to abolish police.
Right.
Then I talk to other people over here because, you know, I talk to everybody. So I talk to a lot of people on the right as well because I've been trying to get their, you know what I'm saying? I've been trying to get their understanding. They're like, man, the police needs way more funding. Look, this happened because there wasn't enough. But as far as the defund argument goes, the most sensical, if this was as to me as a journalist who heard it, the person who actually explained it the best was Rial Johnson, because what Rial said is, look, man, yeah, you hear defund, you hear this and that. He was like, man, this is basically a proposition about return on investment in public safety. He was like, we the citizens don't feel that we're getting proper return on investment that we're making in the police for public safety, so we want to restructure those funds to be able to maximize the return to the community. He said it all in one sentence. And you know what I'm saying? And whether you're for it or against it, you can clearly understand it. You know what I'm saying?
ROI.
You know, and I don't know why a lot of other people, it's just like, defund the police. And then you're like, okay, how does that break down? And it's like, well, I don't know. So, you know, you guys might want to find Rial. I don't know if he's on social media or whatever, but he is. He broke it down for people, either for people that are with defund police or people who have because he does legislation. And so for people who are trying to get a better understanding of even how a legislation might look in a defund, you know what I'm saying? He said it comes down to return on investment.
Right. This just really comes down to ROI. And just to be clear, we could talk about this some other topics is that, you know, defund does not mean abolish. Defund does not mean disband. Defund really means redistribute. And so, like Rial said, I completely agree with that we just want to return on our investment. And clearly, you know, some people in the community don't feel like they're getting a return on their investment. So there you go. But that's my take on it, and that's what, you know, where I've been with rallies and what I've seen throughout this entire process. I just want to make sure that the folks here in the CHOP, formerly CHAZ, you know, really understand that at the end of the day, we also have to work on this other policy level, right, and ask for that. We have to drill down, and what happens usually with people is we just get that one little win, right? Like, oh, let's fire the mayor, right? If that's what people are saying, that's not going to necessarily solve the issue, right? The true issue is with, you know, the policies that allow people to do what they do. And so we need to focus in on those things, right? So anyway, that's my take on it. I've been in a lot of things, and I'm here, you know, present and engaged.
Nah, you're here. I was telling everybody the story that, you know, I spent my birthday actually getting tear gassed and pepper sprayed. My brother his office isn't too far from here, and I'm streaming out there, and he's like, man, what's going on? Where are you at?
Hey, man, I parted that crowd like the Red Sea. I know Bobby that's standing here backstage. He saw me. I mean, basically the crowd, it went back for a block this way, and it went almost a block that way. And when I saw that they had shot you with the thing, and I just, you know, I had to drop everything and get up here, and I was right at the next thing you know, I'm at the front of the Western Barricade. I'm like, you okay? You know, and so that's, I mean, for real, like, I mean, that's brotherly love. Of course, you know, I'm gonna come check on him and make sure he's good. You know, and man, that gas kind of got to me too. It was still some of the air that night.
Man,
you know,
yeah,
but
it
again,
lingers.
what I thought with that, and so that's another thing around police policy. You know, I'm willing to bet that whenever that all comes out, that officer that shot whatever at you, I don't even know what it was, right? They're going to say that it was within policy, right?
Well, somebody has some canisters, some unexploded tear gas canisters that expired. It says expiration 2019.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's all kinds of stuff. I could talk about how it got funky all day long, but I want to talk about what Parks did. You know what I'm saying?
You know
but hold on, let me jump into it because what we found is what we've talked about here is that as the city tries to figure out a way to find a resolution over here, a sustainable solution, is that you know, sometimes it takes leaders that have a lot of weight and no baggage, you know, and that's why we've seen kind of Fire Chief Scoggins kind of rise to the occasion over here. We've seen Zimbabwe from S-Dot. He's been out here.
Yeah, Sam.
Man,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but, man, late from the utilities. I'm going to write it down because, they've been out here and they push it.
That's good.
But also, Cal Anderson Park is a very big part over here. And I know that the Seattle Parks Department is taking some initiative over there to do a few things.
Yeah, you know what? So that was last week, and it was a great thing. Shout out to Sean Hermes, who had the great idea. It was a staff-led effort to not only clean up Cal Anderson. We power washed it, mowed everything, took down a couple of hazard trees to make sure people were safe. And as part of the 2-for-1 tree replacement program, we actually planted a sweet gum tree that came from up at Kubota Gardens in southeast Seattle. And there's a new tree over at Cal Anderson, and it's a Black Lives Matter tree. It's a remembrance tree. And the staff at Seattle Parks and Rec put that together. So that was, like I said, it's great to see a staff-led effort that management actually, put some weight behind, and to see everybody out there. It was like, so it was what they call that is like a jamboree where a lot of people from all over the city came that morning in order to make sure that the park was straight. So obviously there might be some more artwork over there now, but we power washed a lot
Street art.
We power washed a lot of the areas and just cleaned stuff up. And like I said, some of those trees were hazard trees, and it's always a good thing to plant a tree in Seattle. So yeah, it was a really good thing. And again, I got to shout out the Parks and Environment Division at Seattle Parks and Recreation who put that together.
All right, fantastic. Know you're on a tight timeline here, so we're going to get ready and end this segment. But how can people reach you, or do you even want people to reach you? and it was so we interviewed somebody, man. It was like, man, he was espousing so much stuff, and you got to understand it, this, that. We're like, wow, okay, sounds like you got a lot to say. How can people reach you? And he thought about it. He was like, no, I'm good.
Oh, well, no, I'm a social media maven. They can follow me on any of my platforms, and it's Chukundi, Chukundi. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And, that's it. And you say my name, Chukundi. I got into it with some Nigerians online this morning because, actually in Nigeria it's spelled a little bit different, right? So then I had to say, well, listen, brothers. Okay, this is how we say my name in America right now. And when I come home again, and my brother gets me from East Africa to West Africa, I will most certainly take a lesson.
You gotta tell him. I mean, in America, it's DJ Khaled. Over in the Middle East, it's DJ Khaled.
Yeah, hello, that's what I'm saying. So anyway, yeah, folks can reach out to me online. I'm happy to talk to people again about, and if you're really interested in what I was talking about, you can find my statement around the 2017 Police Accountability Ordinance on my Facebook page under Chukundi Salisbury. And read up on it. And that to me is what we should be working on, as well as keeping the pressure on for other things. But in terms of police accountability, that's the crux to me.
All right, you heard it right here from the man. And you guys all call him Chukundi, but me, it's still Kun.
Kun love.
We're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, the Morning Update show continues.
All right. Yeah.
I'm a young black man doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to my kind, every day I'm being hunted as prey. My people don't want no trouble. We've had enough struggle. I just want to live. God protect me. I just want to live. I just want to live.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update show. This is Omari Salisbury. I'll be honest with you, man. We have some very resourceful staff back there. You know what I'm saying? They get it moving and grooving and some of everything. We're right here in what's now known as the Chop. But somebody told me that it's the Chop. CHAZ is hosting the Chop. that the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone is hosting the Capitol Hill occupation protest. So it's like, they're all together, all into one. Like I said, tomorrow, I think we might go live back later on tonight. What time are you out of here, Daryl? What's the latest you're here? Yeah, okay. So we'll do it.
That means a long time.
Now, we'll use the other setup, but we're going to go live tonight because what we saw last night was very interesting, to say the least. And like I said, man, following this protest now since day one from May 29th, when this barricade was right here, what we call the Western Barricade was here, all the protesters, it was just like America fighting COVID. Crush the curve, bend the curve, PPE, face mask. As soon as this barricade is lifted, it's just like how America now has reopened from COVID. Florida's open, Georgia's open, Washington's still, locked down. Guam is still open. So we're seeing that a unified voice that used to be right here, it's not quite right here right now. We want to be able to see how we can bring that, you know what I'm saying, that get a fundamental understanding around what's occurring and why that voice is not there. People want to know. This is what we're kind of reporting on, and if that voice will return. You know what I'm saying? Gone from a unified standpoint to, it's lots of different issues and everything else. We saw a lot of discussion yesterday evening. A lot of the people who are, really on Black Lives Matter and everything, BLM, they felt some kind of way because the natives put the TP out there, and then the TP was all people talked about on TV, and then nobody talked about Black Lives Matter in the media reports. And then, we caught it all on tape. It's all on the stream, and actually we've already uploaded it. We'll release the YouTube after this episode, right, or after the morning show. It's about a 2-hour stream. We also talked to a local business owner over here who said he's suffering, man. He said he was suffering as an auto repair shop right around the corner on 12th Avenue. He said he's lost over $55,000 in business. And the biggest thing is what he said is he feels that nobody cares as far as people in the city and everything else. He said that his representatives don't care, and so he said he's at his wit's end. And he said the police won't respond and fire won't respond, although he's two blocks from fire. But he is on 12th, and he's kind of on the border of the CHAZ, so he said he can't get any emergency services at his business. I bring all that up because it's like, man, like I said, I've been wanting to talk to everybody. I'm not trying to paint a picture of something that it isn't, and that's why we stream, because the stream, the camera just sees what it sees. I take some photography and put up pictures and things, and that could be subjective, but it's like the stream sees what it sees. Right. Anyways, on that, you know what I'm saying, bumped into this young brother here yesterday. It's my man JC from Atlanta, Georgia, from the OVT network. I thought that we would just get a quick view right here and some feedback of somebody who's not from Seattle, doesn't know our politics or anything, who's an independent media, independent journalist, you know what I'm saying, who traveled from Atlanta to see what was going on in Seattle. Man, welcome to the Morning Update Show, JC.
Appreciate it, man.
You got to get it right here, man. You got to use that big Atlanta voice.
Hey! Appreciate it, man. Like you said, I came here from Atlanta. I just really wanted to check it out because on the East Coast, we don't see this. On the East Coast, this ended a week ago. And I know about it because I follow on social media and, I follow different people. I follow the hashtags, all of that. But, I know for a fact, this is still going on. And it's, a really big, major thing. The police pulled out of their precinct. And people are occupying it, and they've spray painted it, and they've decorated it with all types of black art, Black Lives Matter, all types of positive imagery. So I'm like, the thing with the OVT network is we tell black stories. That's what we've always done. That's something we do as a specialty. So it's I have to be here because it's one of the biggest black stories that I can think of in modern. It's one of the biggest things that happen in modern times. I can't think of any other first world country, quote unquote, to overthrow a police station. It's just wild.
Man, it didn't quite happen like that.
But yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, what we're hearing right now, and nobody's actually clear on it, but what we're hearing from Chief Best And some of the information that she released is that she didn't want to give up the police station, but a police chief is appointed, a sheriff is elected,
Right.
And so you know what I'm saying, that they closed it up. We hear a lot of protesters though saying, and even us out here, when they said they were going to give passage on Pine, I really just thought that they were going to open up Pine. They might put some barricades there with some people behind it, and that, you know what I'm saying, it would keep it. Like, we were shocked. Like, we were shocked. Bobby Steels hit me, and Bobby Steels was like, hey, bro, man, the moving trucks in and out of the East Street. I said, impossible. It's like, no, man, you know what I'm saying? I got my recon info. How Bobby Steels gets his info, I don't know. But, man, we came out here, we saw them, and they moved out. Nobody expected the Seattle Police Department to abandon this precinct. And after following it the whole time here from day one, no one expected it, and especially not the protesters. You know, if they knew, let's just be honest, if they knew that the precinct was going down, they would have had all the CHAZ manifesto and everything out well beforehand, all this kind of stuff and everything else. They had no idea that it was going to happen. So, but either way, the power of their protests did force the Seattle Police Department to abandon the East Precinct.
Mm-hmm. And like I say, yeah, like that's a monumental thing. And then just coming here and seeing the solidarity and the, what I want to say, like the consensus, like the consortium of everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything is here, everybody's here. But like I was telling you yesterday, like, I saw some things yesterday that I really liked, and I saw some things yesterday that I didn't like. And in particular, you know, I saw 2 black women lead a march, and they walked past this precinct right here where there was a stage, and there were some artists performing, and the guy literally stops her march, co-ops it so we can listen to your not great music. And I'm like, I feel some type of way about that. It's
you know,
like,
he's from Atlanta, so his music meter is very high off the chain.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
I said what I said.
Jay-Z down in Atlanta.
I said what I said.
Okay.
I said what I said. But yeah, like, and that's just my thing. Like, it's from the beginning of this, it's always been black women building up, leading, marching for everybody. And so it's like, to see another black man take the shine from 2 black women that are actually doing something, like, one actionable, they're doing something that matters. To have people just stand there and you literally say, okay, well, after we finish playing our music, then we can get back to the march. Like, I'm like, no, that's not what this is about. Like, that's not what this is supposed to be. Like, that's not how this works. This is not a personal concert for you.
Okay, but hold on. So let me ask you a question, because Seattle comes on, Seattle comes under a lot of heat from people around the country because they say that, man, Seattle protesters, they're not protesting the way you're supposed to protest. Mm-hmm. I didn't know protesters even had the rule book, bro. I mean, I did see how these guys in Hong Kong released some video of people who use laser, use umbrella, do all this kind of stuff. But it's like Seattle protest is different because you got people at the front of the Western Barricade, like my crazy butt when I was covering the protesters there. You catch the tear gas and everything else. But if you talk to Martial Law of the Martial Law Band, he was protesting by playing that band, his band playing there every single day. Then you got some people who are in the park and, you know, they have their Super Soaker protest. And then you got Mutual Aid. They're giving peanut butter and jelly. They're protesting. If you talk to the medics are like, man, we're definitely protesting, but our protest is medical.
Yeah.
But I think that people look at Seattle, and I'm not saying whether it is or isn't. I'm just saying that it's very unique here. But Seattle people, this protest has come under a lot of heat, like on Twitter and those spaces, because they were like, what are these guys doing? They're not protesting hard enough.
So originally, when I came here, I came here unbiased opinion, and I wanted to, like, that was the point of me coming to this story, because like a lot of people are writing from the outside, like, is this distracting from the movement? And since I've been here, I'm gonna say no. Like, my opinion has changed on that. But to that point, there's a time and place for everything. And so that guy disrupting a march to do something.
I see.
To have people literally stop, say a couple sparkly words, and then like play a set, like I don't understand.
So what you're saying is you weren't necessarily against the music,
right?
It was just you're saying it's time and place. That was another.
Well, I said what I said about the
night.
music, but that's not here nor there.
He said it was bad music. Jeez. But that was a discussion last night, and it was a discussion where we had with the native elders that were over there and a few other people. because they were like, look, man, you guys need to bring the music down, respect the neighbors who are over here, do this and that and everything else. She was like, man, the neighbors are also sacrificing because they're allowing this and that and everything.
Right.
And there's a lot of people who was talking her down for a second. And this is a well-respected, native elder. You know what I'm saying? Who was at Standing Rock, all that, man. You know what I'm saying? She got her stripes and everything.
Right.
And their position or proposition or whatever, I'm not here right now to debate that back and forth, but the fact is that this is a real recognized elder who if you're in the protest world, is like, is out there.
Right.
And, people were like, well, the music is the energy. The music is going to keep people here and this and that. And she was like, man, if you guys got to have the music to keep your energy to protest, it was like, man, it might not be in you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't know. It was like all kinds of conversations. I know that, like, having it musical here, one thing that I told you, I explained to you yesterday, was on that last Sunday. It was a week ago yesterday. The police had pushed all the protesters and the journalists like myself down there on 11th Avenue, and then they were basically in between Pike and Pine on 11th, and on this side, which is the Pine side, the police are now throwing flash grenades. It's some kind of gas. They said it wasn't tear gas because at that point it had been banned, but it was some kind of gas that was in the air, and it was training the rubber bullets, so people get here on rubber bullets. At the end of the block at Pike, the Marshall Blow Band, these guys are still playing. They're over there getting hit with all kinds of stuff. They're still playing. So it's like
time and place.
Place.
That's dope. Are you playing through all of this going on like that? That is a form of oppression. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that time and place. But like, again,
JC.
disrupting. I don't understand or agree with disrupting an actual movement to do something to have people listen to a set. Especially when you're not really talking about anything. Like, it's just like I said, that's just me personally. And then on that note, too, when you're talking about with the native folks, like, the thing that I dislike to see among people of color is, like, I feel like we get into an oppression Olympics where it's
hold on.
Where it's like,
we get in an oppression Olympics.
Oppression Olympics, like, well, my people did this, my people did that, or my people did, like, no. Like, let's not do that. That's separative. Like, if this is going to be an actual movement, we have to come together and we have to recognize each other's different struggles and stories and then move forward, and respect our differences inside of the thing, but realize that we're all essentially marching for the same thing.
All right. Oppression Olympics.
Yeah.
Man, can I bite that? I mean, I'm a credit you, though. I got to put that somewhere.
I actually got it from somebody else. I don't know where I heard it, but like that is the perfect description.
All right, that's cool. That means I'm going to snatch that.
Yeah. But you can still credit me.
Okay. So, otherwise, man, what are your thoughts of our fair city? I know in Atlanta, in the A right now, it's definitely hot and on fire, but I'm not talking about the streets. I'm talking about the weather because it's the middle of June. You're out here in Seattle, and, man, is this what you expected?
I mean, I've been in Seattle before, so rain, it's a little chilly. It's a little different. It's 50 degrees versus 90, but you get used to it. It's 50 degrees versus 90, but you get used to it. So, yeah.
So what are some of the other things as an outsider, fresh eyes from Atlanta that you're seeing out here, what I'm saying, that might stand out to you, some things that you might have seen or not seen in other protests?
Going back to it again, when we did our side interview yesterday, like you said, the white people here really have showed up and showed out, and they have like literally allowed themselves to be a stepping stone, to be a platform for people of color to be heard. And that's not something that I can say that I've seen on that level in such a way.
We had a real interesting conversation, and the only way to really keep it real is to kind of keep it real. So we just say white or black or Asian or native or whatever.
Right.
And so JC said to me yesterday, he was like, man, this would never go down in Atlanta, man, where, guys just take over a police station, or this would never go down in Philly or Houston or anything. And I told JC, I was like, yeah, man, I agree. But I said, I don't think the story is so much. It is kind of, they've got this police station here. But I don't think that's so much the story that in Seattle, they were able to push the police, I guess, out of their own precinct. And that couldn't happen in Atlanta or all these other places, or by the time somebody got to the precinct, it wouldn't look, intact or anything like that. What I said is I thought the bigger story is is that every single day, thousands of white people came out to protest and make enough noise. And they came out here consistently every single day. White people came out here every single day to protest, got smacked. And the people who got smacked definitely came back every day. If they got gassed on Monday, they came back on Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? If they got something on Tuesday, they came back on Wednesday. Thousands of white people came through here every day to protest, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
For basically for a cause, for equality, for people they'll probably never meet. You know what I'm saying? And the end result of that is that these guys vacated the precinct.
Right.
So the bigger question is, how come Seattle's the only city where you'll get thousands of white people every single day in the streets? It's not so much that, Seattle's a city that, they got a precinct here and everything else. How come in Houston there isn't thousands? And, man, you know what I'm saying? This isn't the Poor People's March, by the way.
Right.
This is an affluent neighborhood. A lot of people who've been protesting, they live in the neighborhood. That's one of the things that was feeling it. Thousands of white people every single day. So how come that didn't happen in D.C.? How come it didn't happen in Atlanta?
Your
how
question
come it
is
didn't,
as good as mine,
How come
brother.
it didn't happen? That's something that makes Seattle very unique, that they came here every day and they put that pressure, and that pressure ultimately caused the Seattle Police Department to abandon their precinct. So that's something that's very unique about Seattle. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad that you came up, JC, because I never thought about it like that until you was like, okay, well, man, this wouldn't have happened back home. Mm-hmm. Something else that might not have happened in a lot of cities in America is this pressure these guys put on a precinct every single day. And now, now their demands are literally on the mayor's desk. They're credibly being reviewed. Our first guest today, Wyking Garrett of the Africatown Community Land Trust. The city on Friday, they transferred Fire Station 6, which was supposed to be transferred for years. They transferred it on Friday. So things are actually happening here. But I think that if you look at it kind of in that lens, it's interesting in Seattle is what's making it unique here as opposed to other parts of the country.
Okay. I gotta agree, man. Different level of allyship here. Like, I've never seen that before. Different level. Different level.
Oh, okay. So we're 10. So, hey, we got to wrap. I think we got another podcast to record here in a few minutes. JC, stay right here on set, though. Don't just run up. JC, thank you so much for coming out. And, man, you know what I'm saying? We're here for you. It'd be nice to, you know what I'm saying, pop in every once in a while. Before you leave, we'll get you on the podcast. By the way, so we started a podcast right now. It's called Voices of the Chop. If it stays chop, we'll do that. The first episode is me and Postman Bobby Steels. You know what I'm saying? That's coming out later on today. A lot more interesting stuff on our social media as well. We're going to get ready to get out of here. I'll be streaming later on tonight, but we're going to do a special live because I want to talk about what I witnessed last night on our stream. So we'll talk to you there. You know what the best thing is, JC?
Yeah, what's up?
Is that, man, we end every show standing. You know why?
Why?
Because at the end of every show, we play Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Okay.
My name's the Big O, Omari Salisbury. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 11 a.m., right here on the Morning Update Show.
Lift every voice and sing, till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day. now. Whoa.